Greetings and welcome to more or less a look inside the strategic role-playing game The Dead Hop that is currently in development. Today we're going to take a little look at the character creation process and some of the mechanics in the first mission to give you a good idea what we're working on here. So let's start by making a character. So for this we're going to go to the character menu. We're going to select Create Character. Now, there are currently 3 classes in the game, with more to come. The first class is the Brute, which is a melee character. The second is a Commando, which is more or less a general firearms type of character. The last is a Marksman, who's basically a stealthy specialist in either rifle or bow. Now, you don't select your character class right off. That comes a bit later. But you should choose your stats based on what you want to actually do in the end. Now, melee attacks are enhanced by strength and accuracy, whereas ranged attacks, both for firearms and bow, are enhanced by accuracy and will. So we're going to start off with a range-based character, and I see we already have some pretty good stats for that. So I'm not going to roll at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a name here. I'm going to use a rather generic Sam. And another thing you can do is you can change your gender. You can say male, female, and there's multiple images. So we'll just call Sam for Samantha for today. So when you get what you want, when you configure the way you want, then you hit to continue. This will take us towards the first mission, the first quest mission. There are random missions later in the game that you can do. Once you reach a point, you actually really have to do them. But quest missions actually start with a little bit of story. Now, you can read it or you can just go through it and figure out what it's all about, but I would suggest reading the story. It really helps for the role-playing element. Now, you can either press the buttons for scrolling through the story, or you can just swipe until you get to the end when you get to continue. When you're done, you can just hit to continue, and what that'll do is it'll start building the map in the background. All maps, whether they're quest missions or random missions, the maps are randomly created every time. This can lead to easy maps. This can lead to challenging maps. You might walk into a room and be completely surrounded right from the beginning. If it's too hard, just abandon and restart the mission. No cost. So, when it's done building the mission, you'll see touch to continue, so let's do that. The first thing you'll run into in a mission is a description of the mission itself. You'll get this little screen which tells you the title of the mission and a general goal. Now, you'll also get as many as 4 objectives. Of course, not all of them may be visible at the beginning of the mission. You may not actually see other objectives until you complete previous ones. Now, we actually completed the first objective by actually walking into the map. The next one, as you can see, is to ready a weapon to defend yourself. You don't start off with defense, but you will get indications about that. Now, in terms of the mission, you can also press this button. This will give you a general look at what's in the mission in terms of the number of hostiles, the number of rooms, and the number of objects there are to search. You also get a projection of the rewards. Now, completing all of one of these, or all of these, will give a 10% bonus to these for each one. So, if that's something you want to do, go for it. You can also reread the storyline inside the game if you want. Now, when an objective is complete, sometimes you'll get text that'll come up for story elements. In the first mission, there's actually some instructions that are in brackets. but usually it's a little bit of a story element to tell you something. So in this, basically, it's a general, you're in this room, and please look inside the battered chest. I kind of hammered that with you. Now, as you can see, the first objective is complete, and it's telling you you now have another one. You can actually see what your status is by going back over here. So, here we have a battered chest. Where did that come from? Even though the missions are random, you can always count on that will be in the first room of the first mission. So let's take a look what's inside this magical chest. Here you have a listing in table form of the items that are actually in the chest. As you can see, you got a bow, a healing salve. What those are for outside of combat healing, because it takes so long to actually use. There are one of these for every one of the vitals. You have health, you have energy, and you have mana. Each one is more key for individual classes and different abilities. You have a regen potion that can be used in battle. What it is, when you take the potion, it lasts a certain period of time, and in this case, it'll actually tick every once in a while, and you'll get a little healing bit from that. So something you can use in combat. There are ones for buffs. There are ones for increasing your speed, all kinds of general things. Here we have a couple of thrown items, one of which is a Molotov cocktail. Sure, you can figure out what that does. You throw that and you want to set somebody on fire. These are darts that'll just do minor damage. There is actually a skill called Thrown that will increase the effectiveness of these types of weapons. And here you have arrows. The good thing about arrows is when you use them, you actually have a rather high percentage of getting the arrow back, assuming you hit the target, that is. So you could also use this screen for dropping things if you want in the future. This is actually what your character is carrying at the moment. He has these because of the story. You did read the story, right? Good. Anyway, in this case, we don't want to drop anything, we want to take. So we're just going to take everything. If you search an object and it has nothing in it, you'll simply get a message saying there's nothing in there. So I see there's two other things to search in the room. I'm just going to quickly take a look into them. Energy salve and a couple of sellables. So why don't I just take those for now? And I'll look at the other one. And let's just search and see what we have in the rubble pile. And not really much here. Just take that. Wood planks have a tendency to be a little heavy for their weight to money ratio. So now we have to deal with that second objective, equipping a weapon. So let's just go to the character display. This is a display of character stats. General stats, you can look at the combat statistics, some faction information, and buffs, which you really don't have. Buffs are things that are permanent as long as you wear something that actually gives you a buff. Those come along a little bit later, once the storyline unlocks enhanced items. Enhanced items can have stat buffs, buffs to the item itself, and they can be parts of sets, as well as enhancing other things. So there's a lot to go in that, and I'm not going to do that now. What I do want to do is equip a weapon. So